That hurt.
All right, welcome to the Straight Red Card. We had to come back because after last night's response from so many pundits and players, even to the point where Jimmy was really pissed last night. I didn't know if you saw that with Tony Meola. He's like, yeah, I got players coming up to me after last game and other past games saying, why are you busting my balls? And Jimmy's like, well, F that.
Yeah.
Busting your balls because you play like crap. Play good. I won't say anything.
Yeah, we covered that. You may reiterate it, but we covered that quote a show or two back. And that was the thing. His point was like, hey, play better.
And the irony of that really is, same thing goes for punditry. This show covers punditry. If you don't want to get hammered in the nuts and you're a pundit, don't say stupid shit. It's pretty easy. Yeah, do better. And you can say, well, it's just an opinion. No, sometimes it's not. Sometimes people are blinded by their own experiences. And I'm not talking just about Jimmy there, which we've already had that discussion with him. We're talking about Landon Donovan, which coincidentally leads us to one of the biggest comments of, on top of Pete and Tact and Jimmy and others who say, I don't see a team that gives a shit, including, I believe, Lawless's sidekick, Stu Holden, who also said the players aren't good enough. Maybe these players just aren't as good as we thought they are. Well, there's certainly something going on here that's not working. But Landon Donovan busted out, and he flamethrowed it. And Benny Fuelhaber, who was on with Jimmy and Meola, wouldn't go this far. But I guess somebody was going to say it. Landon Donovan says, I'm so sick of hearing about how talented this group of players is and all the amazing clubs they play for. If you aren't going to show up and actually give a shit about playing for your national team, decline the invite. Talent is great. Pride is better. I got to ask you, Brett, do you really think these players don't care? Or do you think they might be just a little bit arrogant to the point where they think they can just show up and win? Or what are we talking about here? Because I can't imagine players showing up and not caring. I think they care. I'm not going to question like that last game against Canada. I saw a lot of effort, but maybe we didn't see the same desire, or we didn't see the chip on the shoulder, like we got something to prove. That's what's missing there. Like they've already made it, right? They're big stars. But I couldn't look you in the eye personally and say there were players specifically I thought didn't care. Could you pick one out if you thought somebody didn't care?
No, I mean, there's effort is there, guys. It's just we are absolutely playing like a team that's just been constructed. It's just wherever this lack of chemistry came from, I don't know. I know we're missing a couple key players. Sure, yeah. I mean, and quite frankly, the only person I'm saying we absolutely are missing is, for whatever reason, is Jedi, and what he does in the middle of that pitch. I mean, of course, he doesn't play in the middle of the pitch, but under Poach's system, he moved in there. But the ground he covers and the movement off the ball that he does opens up the game.
Go ahead.
I think we just saw a lot of players out there running around like chickens with their heads cut off.
Right. So I'll give you an example from my own personal experience. I was playing a tournament. Okay, it's tennis. So what? Yes, I played tennis. I wrestled. I played soccer. I played a lot of different sports. But, at this point, I'm ranked number 26 in the state of Indiana, 18 and unders. And I come against a player in the round of 16 of this tournament who's ranked 36. Way behind me, really, in a lot of ways. Doesn't have the results I have. And I'm thinking, I'm going to beat this guy. No problem. I'm going to go out there, play my game, and I'm going to beat him. And I went out there, and I was probably a little arrogant about it, thinking, I'm taking him down 6'2", 6'2". This guy fought his fucking ball sack off. Ended up stealing the first set and fucking 7-6. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? This guy he's a fucking bulldog. Yeah, but I'm sticking in there. I think I can still win this. Well, I win the next set 6-2. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got him. We're back to normal. I'm back to me. But he continues to battle and he beats me 7-6 again in the last set in a tiebreaker. And I lose. Do I care? Fuck yeah, I was pissed as shit. But my problem was coming in there thinking that I was superior. And then all I had to do was show up and win. That I didn't have to be extra focused. That I didn't have to have my A game, right? And I think that's what's happening to these guys. I think a lot of them have gotten to the point where they're not bringing intensity from, first point, first minute.
Well, I mean, what it is, this window, it was just a mountain of sloppiness.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the first match against Panama, we passed it around. We did the slow build-up that we saw during Berhalter. What did we complain about in that game? Was how slow we were in the transition, how we just passed the ball around, let Panama, who's going to play a low block, establish himself.
Yeah. And not only that, Brett, when you're talking about us playing it too slowly, we've reverted back to Berhalter ball, which was, as Poach put it, which we'll play here, the players, when they feel comfortable, go back to autopilot. It's a horrible habit. And he wants to break that habit, but he can't quite do it yet. When they get comfortable, they go back to autopilot, which is what they've been doing for 5 years under Berhalter, which is just kick it around the park.
Yeah.
And do nothing. No intensity, bring no creativity and no intensity. I think we should play that part because I think it's important to hear it out of his own lips.
He started talking about Landon Donovan. We didn't talk about the Landon Donovan thing very much.
Well, we did. I mean, Landon Donovan's an example of all the people out there who are saying this team doesn't care. I think they care. Just like when I lost, I cared. I was frustrated. I was pissed. I was like, I can't believe I just got beat by a guy more than 10 spots lower than me in the rankings in the state. And it's a guy that had lost to people I had beat. Okay, so then you're thinking, okay, well, I beat this guy that beat him. So now I'm going to crush this guy. And I'd never played him before, so I took it for granted. This is even worse in the sense we knew versus Panama and Canada what we were getting into. There is no room for arrogance or lack of intensity or to not come in with something to prove and have a chip on your shoulder. And so I don't think it's caring. They care they lost. But this is another great point from Pochettino. It's about detail here.
Real quick to that point, though, there was a lot of effort given. Players were running around the pitch.
A lot of effort.
There was just no organization. There was no team cohesiveness. There was no chemistry.
Right. And then at the end of the game, when we're talking extra time and it's desperation and we need a goal, what the fuck are we doing? We're kicking around the shoehorn in the back, wasting time. Get that ball in the box, create some chaos, and get a goal. Nope. Nope, we didn't do it.
You know who did really show heart and progress the ball forward was Luna.
That's right. Luna being the exception to all this, and I will give up, even though he was poor, Aubameyang was physical as hell. He's not the most skilled guy in the world, but boy, he wasn't taking any shit. He was throwing his body around like he gave a shit too. Like he did have something to prove. Luna came in with a chip on his shoulder like he had something to prove, but the other guys didn't. I will even give Arston this. He had a chip on his shoulder like I have something to prove. He wasn't poor, like horrible.
Well, the quality gap between him and Jedi is apparent, and that's what it was. You watched him play; he did perfectly fine. It just wasn't as clean. He wasn't in the right positions. He wasn't doing combinations plays with people. You had Pulisic, who was constantly playing hero ball. He's reverted back to that. God, get him out of the center. I mean, he can be creative and he can make those passes and stuff. But when he's in that center, I feel like it's like the team is on my shoulders and I've got to carry them to the victory line, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even pregame, we had Luna set up as a CAM, not Pulisic.
Yeah.
You bring in Luna, now you're playing Luna out left. Weird. Just put Luna in his natural position and put Pulisic out where he can take guys on.
Yep. I was going to say that was the point that you made is he can take guys on at pace.
Yes.
Out wide.
Can't do that in the middle where it's a clusterfuck. And let's be honest, that's what it was. And it was done on purpose. So
how many times did we see the change of point of attack balls by Luna?
Yep.
From the right-hand side all the way to the left-hand side. I mean, that's what you want in the center of the pitch. You don't need a guy that's going to try to dribble 4 guys.
There's no doubt. Luna was the best player on the field. He was a bulldog too on defense. Absolutely.
All right, let's hear what Coach has to say. You said about his quote.
Mm-hmm. And because we realized that the way that we compete against Panama wasn't good, but after we talk about how to change the automatic pilot. You go and to try to survive in the way that you will be safe, and you come back to your habit when it's not your normal habit. Yes, when you are conscious, I am thinking, I need to go, I need to press when we don't have the ball. But when we have the ball, come on, I need to change the tempo, I need to go forward. Yes.
So basically,
what we're saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I was just saying, which is when we get possession of the ball, instead of going forward, like we should be, quick in transition, we go back to our old habits under Berhalter. He's suddenly here throwing 5 years of bad habits under the bus. And players just want to be, as he says, they're comfortable. No. Now, I hope they all got an earful of that in the locker room. And I will say that Poch is not infallible himself. He put people in weird spots, in weird positions, like being really stubborn about playing Pulisic in the middle. It's ridiculous. By not bringing in Luna or Reyna during the Panama game when we desperately needed to win the game.
Some creativity. It's even without the creative spark as Reyna or Luna would have brought to the game, we still had opportunities against Panama. Like I say, 99 times out of 100, that game would have ended differently. We would have put one of those chances away, and the game would have opened up completely. But it is what it is,
right?
But the weird decisions that you're talking about, the issues that Poach makes. Well, we're going to go against a team that's going to sit back, play low block, and then let's go ahead and park with two defensive-minded, not even defensive-minded, but more defensive-minded double pivot. Tessman's not a defensive-minded player, but I mean, he gets up in the attack, but he's also slow progression to get into the attack.
And he's not his bag of chips. Let's be honest. Okay, that works in Serie B, but it's not working so far as offensive and contributing offensively for Lyon this season. He's mostly a holding guy for Lyon. So I wouldn't expect him to get up, and it looks like he wasn't really told to get up, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Why are we playing so defensively against a team that on paper we're so much better than?
If he was told, I mean, he came in the second half, and it was a different game altogether.
A little better,
now,
yeah.
Did Poach say, dude, you got to get up more?
Yes.
This isn't what I'm telling you to do. Or did he say, hey, let's change it up. I need you to start progressing the ball forward more.
I need you to play more of an 8, not less of a 6.
But, I mean, at the beginning, did he tell them to do that and Tessman just didn't do it? Or did he tell him, hey, play more defensive and we'll build it up slow, which kind of
I could only imagine he started off as a double pivot 6 because otherwise, if you're the coach on the sideline, you yell, hey, I need you to get up the pitch. I mean, how hard is that? Tessman, move to an 8. I mean, I could say that.
I still think that could have worked if Pulisic was pushed out right, Musa was benched, and then Luna was brought in to play the middle. If you're going to play double pivot, have a creative option in front of them.
Just play a back 4. Fuck this back 5 thing. Back 3/5 against Panama. And then we have other pundits out there. And listen, I have nothing against Sasha Kljestan personally. I really don't. I don't. I had great conversations with his dad back in the day about his professional career back in 2011. And he was overall, really good player. I like Sasha Kleshin, but saying things like this at this point doesn't help the average fan because it's a black and white discussion. He says the international game is different from club football. Does this version of the U.S. men's national team understand that? Like who? Coach or the players? I'm not sure who he's referencing there.
He's referring to the players, and I'll explain why.
Okay. It's not about tactics and formations and game model. It's about winning duels, being tough to play against, and making plays. All true. That's all true. I still believe this group can get there. But to say it's not about tactics and formations and game model is absolutely a black and white argument that gets other people will quote this now from here on out and will only blame the players and never criticize Poach because he might as well not even be there because it's not important.
If it's not about that, what is Poach's job at that point?
Yeah, just have a dolphin pick the starting formation and just throw it out there and let him go.
So Sasha's overall point here is that it doesn't matter if you're playing a 5-4-1, a 4-3-3, a 3-4-3, or if you're doing a high press or low press. You know, it's about getting in on those tackles, being tough, making the plays.
Then he should have said that.
Well, that's what he says. It's not about tactics and formations and a game model. It's about doing the things you need to do in the game. And I understand his point there. But to your point, it's not black and white. There is, in fact, a different mindset if you're playing a low block in a 5-4-1 compared to, say, a 4-3-3.
Yeah, we can't.
4-2-3-1.
These are the kind of arguments as a respected former player, former U.S. men's national team player, and a pundit. You can't put out black and white comments like that without context.
It's our job.
Otherwise, people just see, hey, it ain't Poach's fault. Fucking Sasha Kleshin said it doesn't matter what formation or setup we get in. We can win every game. Well, we just spent 5 minutes talking about starting with a double pivot against Panama. That's tactics. Yes, tactics matter. Yes, setup matter. Yes, formations do matter. Now, once you're on the field, you got to do something. You got to play the game. You got to be intense. You got to bring a chip, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like these kind of comments, and he's not even blue check. What the fuck is that? So maybe this is all he can fit in.
He's anti-Elon, I guess.
Maybe this is all it can fit in, but it doesn't provide context to any fan.
Does he expand upon it? No.
Nope. And then Redo says, there it is. Bullshit. Not there it is. That's a misleading fucking statement. He gets 50% of it right and 50% of it misleads.
Well, and he's talking as a pro player, he's talking about the player's mindset in the sense, he goes, disregard the formations, disregard the tactics. U.S. players, regardless of how you're playing or where you're playing, you have to do X, Y, and Z.
But he didn't say that.
Fully understand. Well, I'm maybe reading into it, I guess. I don't know.
You shouldn't have to, Brett. The dude needs to learn how to fucking write a goddamn Twitter post and be clear about what he's saying. And now put out something that other people are going to reference and say later on, don't criticize Poach. Fucking Sasha Kleshin say Coach has nothing to do with it. Doesn't matter what tactics and formations Poach picks. It's not important. It's about winning duels. No, it's about both.
Yep.
You fucking idiots. It's both. You got to set the players up to fucking for success. And then after that, it's all about winning the duels and being tough.
And here's the key example of it. Again, we talked about the Panama game. I do want to mention before I get too deep into this. Derek and I aren't taking the side of the players. We're not taking the side of the coaches. We're holding both accountable, which is what Derek just said. It's both the tactics and formation, and it's about the players' responsibilities. It is both. Both players and coaches are responsible for these results.
But as you said, this is probably just a very poorly written Twitter. Yeah. The fact that Max Bretos, our friend, can chime in and said, there it is. It's like, no, it's not. That is a horrible tweet. It's completely lacks any context, and it doesn't say what you just said, which is, hey, once you set them up for success, it goes, tactics are out the window. Once you set them up for success and you have the formation you want, you've already discussed tactics, and you decided what your game model is, and you have a B plan, hopefully, if plan A doesn't work, then it's all about the fight and the guts and what you're willing to put into it. That would be a perfect tweet. This is not a perfect tweet. And I guess I'm not criticizing him as a person. I'm just criticizing the way it's framed and how it's going to play out with all those people out there who are defending Poach. There aren't a whole lot of them, but there are some saying, see, it wasn't about Berhalter. It wasn't about Berhalter. It wasn't about Poach either. This is just, we got a shitty team. No, there's some blame goes to the manager in both cases.
And so, like I was saying, here's the Panama game is the best example of this, quite frankly. Again, we talked about how the early onset formation and even we're assuming tactics with the double pivot and the slow progression forward. I don't think that's necessarily Poach's hope was that it was that slow, but it is what it is at this point. But he put the players out there. Now those players can go into those tackles. Those players can make the passes. We created a couple of opportunities that could have resulted in goals. But aside from that, we sat back too slow, let the Panamanians reset.
Yeah.
Second half rolls around. I don't know if he makes a tactical change or if he talks to Tessman and say, dude, you're not doing what I'm telling you to do. I need you to get up in the pitch.
That's tactical change.
He came out with a shoe shoved up his ass because he was running around that pitch like his job depended on it.
Yep.
And then from that point on, for like the first 15, 20 minutes before we had subs, we were playing well-ish.
Yes.
We created a couple opportunities with Aguiman as well afterwards. But as a whole, the players still made errant passes. They still didn't go hard on the duels. They still kind of lunged or stabbed. And it wasn't a clean performance by any means by them. And they have to sharpen up on the national team aspect. Yeah. But where the coach is fallible here is he didn't make the correct offensive changes. The changes in that game seemed predetermined. Like, we're going to bring in McGlynn.
Yep.
We're going to bring in Aguiman. But we didn't do anything to the midfield.
At that point, I don't fault McGlynn. He did all right when he went in. But you bring in an attacking player, Reyna or Luna. And neither of those guys got to play him. Then Poach later said, well, oopsie, I was going to bring him after the time was up and bring him for extra time. What a dumbass decision that
was a stupid decision.
Yes. So, yes, managers do matter and the players matter. Now, you can decide to weigh them as much as you want. Certainly, a lot of blame goes on currently the players. But because even if he does set you up in a slightly off kilter, you should be winning a game versus Panama.
That game could have been a win at any moment. We had 4 solid chances. One of them went in, but offside. But
yeah, I see also a lack of intelligence on our team. I really do. I see a lack of soccer IQ, and that's in the creativity department. We had a situation in the second game versus Canada where Moose is bringing the ball up the field, and Brian White's running the lane. And he's going to be fucking wide open. All you got to do is pass it through. Musa never even sees him. So, again, that's not, like, when is Musa going to figure out in the attacking stages when to lift his head and find somebody for a fucking through ball? I just don't know when it's going to happen. And it's frustrating as hell right now to watch. It was frustrating to see that happen again. Because I think Brian White actually made a decent run. But Musa never lifted his head to see him. That's got to stop. And we see that at AC Milan with him too. It's just a continuation. So if I had to pick out what's missing, it's not that they don't care. They care. We saw some intensity in the second game. But we didn't see intelligence. We didn't see gumption. We didn't see fire. We didn't see I've got something to prove. We didn't see chip on the shoulder. We didn't see any of that. All that is indeed missing. But they care they lost. I guarantee you that. Just like I did back in 87, 88, 88, when I lost that, quarterfinal, right? So it's very frustrating. Do we have any other slides we were going to cover? Oh, Keith.
Keith.
See, this is another one. We love Keith. He's been on our show. We like Keith Costigan. But I don't know what universe Keith Costigan's living in to say, imagine if Greg or BJ oversaw these two games, would be an uproar. Well, by the way, number one, BJ is universally loved for the most part.
Yeah.
His time at U.S. men's national team was quite good.
Say BJ and Hudson, legends.
Yes. I don't know what he's missing, but there's an uproar about this game.
It's funny if you really go back and you look at the last four coaches we had: Greg, BJ, Hudson, and now Poach. What was most telling about Hudson and BJ's time frame with the exact same players?
Allowed freedom and creativity.
They didn't overcomplicate things.
Yep.
And I don't know if Poach is overcomplicating anything. I mean, the concept of the high intensity press and the high intensity practices, but leading into that, maybe it's too much. You know, we have some soft boys on our team.
Yeah.
So, but BJ and Hudson, when they were here, they just sort of like, hey, you 11, you're in, go do your thing.
Yeah,
That's
we're going to maintain some of the basics, but now you got the freedom in the final third to do whatever you need to do. Go do it. I can't coach final third. That's on you. That's creativity, which we've heard from Pep as well.
Exactly.
You know, so even Pep believes those kind of things. So,
but to our point with Keith's comment here, what is he not watching Twitter at all? Everybody's in an uproar.
Maybe he lives in a very closed off experience.
I mean, the fans that weren't really high on Poach and were high on Greg from the get go are happy right now. You know, not happy that we lost, but they're like, "See, told you so." You know,
it's the players.
Then we have the people who were high and mighty on Poach coming in, and some of them are still like, you know, I have faith that Poach is going to correct the ship. And then we have a portion of that population that's in there going like, yeah, I'm really getting kind of sus on him right now.
Yeah.
So
I think go ahead.
I was going to say this was not a good window by any means. His windows so far have been hit and miss. You know, the first window he had a good game, the good first match against Panama, oddly enough, and then lost to Mexico. Then we had the Nations League one where it was a good window. Now we have a bad window. I'm not counting Camp Cupcake here. Yeah. So it's a mixed bag right now. We got Gold Cup coming up plus 2 solid friendlies. Let's see what happens here. And what else are we going to say? He's not going anywhere.
Yep. He's not going anywhere. Anybody who thinks Poach is going to be fired, just get over that now. It ain't happening. I don't care how bad it goes. It's too much money, too much guaranteed money too. You can't just toss that away at this point. Mm-hmm. Are we done with slides?
Yeah.
Okay. I do want to make an announcement. Yeah. So next March, in that 23rd through 31st friendly open period, talks are currently underway and look like they're going to happen, that we will be playing Germany in that window.
So next March,
a year from now.
That's the early spring leading into World Cup.
Yeah. So want to thank my my leaker for that. Do appreciate it.
You're 100% so far.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
It's only been one, but
one for one. Oh. Yeah. So I would expect, or I would look towards, of course, they're not going to announce it until like February of next year, but you heard it here first. So like 11 months from now, we can brag about this, but
our fans will make sure to say, yep, Derek was right again.
I hope I'm right. Like I said, discussions are heavy right now. Yeah. And I believe
whatever.
I mean, I believe it's agreed to. It's just finding the exact day that they're going to do it, right? Yeah. And where, and all that's not even going to be worked out for the next coming month.
Well, I mean, and you got to think. I mean, a lot of those teams are going to come a knocking for those windows because they want to get exposure to the U.S. before World Cup.
Right. I think the saddest thing for us all here is the malaise that is building in U.S. men's national team fan base. You can just see it intact. seems defeated. Just like to the point where he's being ultra negative about this going forward. And I get it. And there are a lot of other people that feel that way too. And I get it. And I was talking about this last night about not being don't super invest. All of us should have other things in our lives that we're also invested in, like family, friends. Those things should occupy a greater space in your give a shit center in your brain than this team. I mean, I want you to care about the team, and you should care about it, and we want you to care about it. But don't let it get you down. Don't let it get you down. This is not it. It's not over. As Brett said, it may feel like the sky's falling, but I don't think it is. Just don't look up. We got to hang in here and see how this develops going forward. I know there are not a whole lot of windows left, but we got the Gold Cup, so there's that.
What's frustrating, and I'm not going to go too much into this because we're already 30 minutes into this, but what's frustrating about this team is we don't know which version of which player we're going to get.
Yep.
Which version of Pulisic are we going to get? We're going to get the hero ball, or are we going to get the team player opening up and making the runs and etc.? Are we going to get Weston McKennie, who just trots around the pitch and is a ghost 90% of the time? Or are we going to get the Weston McKennie who flat out dominates the match?
Yep.
You know?
And
Is our defense going to, be steady, or are they going to leak goals? I mean, it's impossible to guess which team is showing up or which players for which team.
Are we going to revert to our comfort zone and go back to Berhalter autopilot ball and just kick it sideways and backwards? Like, no, we can't do that. And I'm glad Poach said that in his interview, because that means he sees it. And if he sees it, he needs to stop it.
I know it's kind of a meme with Poach at this point with Mitrovic, but is Mitrovic? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I've got to say, his presence in the midfield probably would have been nice.
You mean Miljevic?
Miljevic, yeah. Miljevic.
Mitrovic is the U20 or youth coach.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, Miljevic. It's a meme with Poach at this point, but I don't know. His attitude, his desire to be on the pitch and get all the balls and stuff like that would have been nice.
He's nasty.
Yeah.
We need some nasty. We don't have any Jermaine Joneses or Clint Dempsey's on this team. We don't have any Jay Demerits.
The closest JJ we have right now is Adams, and he's the clean version of him.
Right. We don't have Gooch. We don't have nasty on this team.
We don't have a Demerit.
Yeah.
Just a bulldog that came from the 9th Division England all the way up to EPL.
We don't have a John Brooks.
He's
nasty, right?
So, yeah, like I said, this is one of the softest teams I've seen in a long time. Very talented, and I know Landon's probably pulling out the rest of his hair from hearing me say that. But
it's not. It's his hair from over here moved to here now, so should be stronger.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
Yeah.
Seriously,
anyhow, thanks for joining us for this clip. We had to get this out based on all the feedback people are giving last night and all today, and we just thought we'd cover it and clarify where we stand on this. We do not think they don't care. I just think they haven't been playing with any sort of chip on their shoulder anymore. Like, that's gone. And there's not a whole lot of high soccer IQ or gumption or fire.
It's the same arguments we made under Berhalter. It's the same arguments we're going to make now. The players are soft, and you're right. There's no chip.
So the players need to get better. Poach can be better too.
Yep.
He really can be. And that's the point. Everyone can be better. All right. That's it. We'll be back on Thursday. Until then, have a great evening.